Recently, while I was wasting my time scrolling through X, I stumbled upon a post that piqued my curiosity. It was a slander post on a major advertising campaign that was happening in New York City subway. The ads were all black text on a blank background, making it hard to understand what it was about at first glance. But they shared messages of companionship and comfort with a link to the website called friend.com on the bottom right corner. One would assume that this would lead to a site where you met new people, but unfortunately, that's naive thinking nowadays. It's AI. Another useless AI product made to isolate you, weaken your perception, and dissolve you of independent thought. Yes, I know. I sound crazy. I sound like a crazy woman
wearing a tinfoil hat. You'll be wearing one too after this.
But hear me out for a second, right? I've been noticing a very concerning pattern that's developed with our relationship with AI. It's no secret that in recent years, AI has been implemented into nearly every aspect of our lives. In many ways, it can serve as great help in major fields such as medicine or mundane life. With performing and organizing chores for you, it is a great thing to have. However, it is no longer being advertised as a tool anymore. Companies now present AI as a replacement for human connection. When you go to the link friend.com, you're immediately taken to a chat room where you can talk to your new friend. But if you opt to buy the pendant, you get these concept questions that are supposed to show off its importance to your life. Here's the thing, though, about these example questions, if you will. These aren't commands nor questions that will help you in any way. These are opinions, thoughts you can form by yourself. You decide what's beautiful. You decide when to go home and watch a show. You decide whether a sculpture is funny or not. You don't need AI to think these things for you. And yet, you're being encouraged to let it take over. But how did we get here, you might be asking? Well, I'd say that it all started with Siri, but that'd be incorrect. It's made to be a digital assistant, and frankly, thanks to Apple's very restrictive programming, it still functions as one. You could also say that it's the fault of ChatGPT, and to a certain extent, it is, but that wouldn't entirely be correct either. It's more so a symptom of a larger issue at play, and that is our increasing lack of will. We've become heavily reliant on technology. That's a fact. Hell, it's a requirement for everyday life. However, at some point, we forgot to draw a line in this dynamic. Listen, I and every other person like it when things are easier. But when we start to replace the process with generated solutions, we start to lose the ability to think and work for ourselves. In the height of ChatGPT, many people have used it to generate whole essays for them, skipping the research process. Others have used it to make art, refusing to even try to learn the skill or even pick up a pencil. Worst of all, many people have opted to use ChatGPT as a replacement for companionship. Yes, all these things are made easier with AI, but in indulging in it, we are losing a massive part of ourselves. It's a rabbit hole, really. It started with giving the AI tasks, then asking the machine for life advice, and now asking it to give opinions on human concept that it will never comprehend. And people have replaced humans with AI because it's easier to maintain. It lives in your pocket, always reliable, always available. But that's not good. See, the thing with AI is that it is essentially a yes man. It doesn't argue, it says what you want, and it's always available, and importantly, it never says no. In contrast to a real human, who's all the opposite and, heavens forbid, might pose a challenge. Problem, it makes a user become isolated, both socially and critically, refusing to engage with others and other ideas that don't align with what the AI has coddled them with. Really restricts the ability to think independently. Here's the thing about AI, though. It's never right. Chatbots use the internet as their main source of information. But if you've been on the internet long enough, you know that it is bloated with misinformation. So it can be feeding you lies and lead you to actual danger if you rely on it for every decision. AI doesn't have real judgment either, nor does it care about its user. It does what it's told and says what the user wants to hear. And to give you a quick reminder, no matter how smart you think you are, or how much the AI praises you, you're not immune to propaganda. Thankfully, returning to the post that started it all, people fighting back, placing graffiti on the ads, warning others of the dangers of AI, and encouraging human connection. It's warming to see, really, considering how strong the push for AI has been nowadays. Listen, I get it. It's a hard world out there, and it's even harder to make and maintain relationships. I've been practically alone for my whole life. I'm an only child from a divorced home. Being the weird kid at school, I had little to no friends, and the few that I had were always in another class. All my friends left the state to pursue their careers, while I stayed in my home island to study. Despite it all, my friends always find a way to come back. Even if our talks are not as frequent as before, we still manage to communicate with one another and keep each other updated with our lives. Sometimes we disagree and, stay in our separate planes of thought. Other times, a coworker of mine can just casually give me the biggest and greatest life advice of all time. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, no matter how big or small, human connections help you grow as a person, and they always come back one way or another to challenge you with ideas and share new ones through the experience of others. That is the peak of human experience. All AI does is strip that away from you and just give you instant, empty gratification. You learn nothing, you gain nothing. All it does is leave you craving for more.